What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes are back with another MMA superstar. This time it's former UFC strawweight champion Carla Esparza, who's going to be the challenger in a fight coming up against the incumbent Rose Namajunas at UFC 274 coming up here on May 5th. Sorry, May 7th. Carla, welcome back. How you doing?
Hey guys, what's up? Good to be back.
How was your weekend, man? I saw the Instagram. You snuck in the bachelor party here. You said it only cost you one day off and you watched yourself for real, or did you sneak in a beer or two?
No, I mean, like I had to keep it good, like I can have a good time without drinking. That's just not gonna get as wild, like I know a lot of people go to bachelor and bachelorette weekends and totally don't remember the whole thing. So now I had a good time. If anything, like it was the food that I was like, oh dang, I want to have more of like these tacos or whatever. Like, so yeah, I had a one cheat meal on I went after my training on Friday and we had like this 5-course meal and I was like, I want more cake. I want, but yeah, I mean overall it was really good. Like, if anything, like yeah, it was just like the busyness that was hard, but I had planned it so that I'd be home early Sunday so I could take that whole day to like rest and just recover.
I remember the post that you made a while back where just taking the fight 1 week before you're getting married was a difficult decision. How about now that things have played out, like having to balance the bachelorette party with training and things like that? Is it something that, looking back, maybe you could have spaced them out a little bit more? Or are you handling it like a champ, like maybe a soon-to-be champ?
Yeah, I mean, like I had anticipated this fight for quite a while, so I was good about like preparing everything, getting all these things done, like there obviously a wedding and, even just planning bachelorette with like 15 different people is a lot of like coordinating and, a lot of different people. But, I got everything done like really early, like ahead of time. And I've told all the wedding people like, hey, like, do not contact me anymore. Like as of like about a week or two ago, I'm just focused on the fight. So I feel pretty comfortable. And I have, fortunately, like people to back me up, like my fiance, and he's like, I'll take over anything else that needs to get done, but now I feel good, like if you plan ahead, then, life throws things at you. Some people have a job and kids and they're doing this, stuff. So it's like you make do with what you got in front of you.
That's right. If I remember, about 6 years ago or something, I had heard that you were one of the fighters that on Fight Week, you only have a burner account where only the manager and the absolute closest can reach you. And I thought to myself, that's interesting. And now I've heard more fighters unplug like that. Was that you? Is that you that does that?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Like I think there's just so many people hitting you up, like, and a lot of it's just like really simple, like, hey, what day is the fight again? How do I watch it? Like, what
Mm.
time is it? Hey, I just want to wish you good luck,
Mhm.
and that's amazing. Like I appreciate all the support from my friends and everything, but it's just like, you just really need to stay focused. And yeah, I definitely need to unplug during fight week.
I like how you made your friends and family sound like Mickey Mouse there when you're giving you those
Well,
messages as you read them.
that's how they talk. No, just kidding.
And then tell us about, I mean, like, it was pretty cool, man. Like, you guys really, really went all out. You had your Chippendales night, a pole dancing night, and all that. What was the highlight? And I guess what was the pole dancing? That seemed like one of those where, hey, a little bit of a fall and maybe a knee could get tweaked, or an ankle, or your neck. Were you sweating any of that?
No, not really. I mean, a lot of us are athletes, a little bit, a bunch of my college wrestling teammates came, and it was a really like introductory class. Like it was very chill. And like I said, if I felt anything that I felt like I was like felt a little uncomfortable doing, like I could get hurt, I would just be like, I'm not gonna do this. So I always have my safety like in mind, especially during camp. But yeah, I mean, it was a very busy, like, day and schedule. Like I said, I got my training in Friday, I ate my healthy meal Friday morning and Thursday before I flew out, or Friday, and then we went, straight to the dinner and then Chippendales, which was really fun. I got on stage, so that was cool.
Oh
But I won't
wow.
say what happened. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, and then but we called it an early night. Like the show was over by like 9:30, I think, because we had to get up early for pole dancing 9 a.m., which was, if you think about it, that's a workout. So got my training in Saturday, went to the pool and just was in the sun, like got my tan on and just, had fun. And yeah, we just had a good time. We had games in my room, it's just all good, clean fun. So yeah, we had a good time. There was a lot of phallic objects, a lot of penis, stuff in the room. Like it was just good to see my girls, honestly, and to be, like some people, I'm very strict, like hermit mode in camp normally, but I think it's nice to kind of like, let loose, forget about all the stress and just kind of like get away for a day and, takes the stress off of camp, I think.
Yeah, and to be exact, you have your wedding 1 weekend after your fight, right? That's the deal.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I imagine you have a wedding plan, but I ask only because you seem so organized. Maybe you did it all too.
Yeah, I planned the wedding. I did everything. I did the
Look at
wedding
you.
website like 8 months ago. I got the venue, the location. I scouted locations. Like I picked like the little wedding gifts. One of my teammates' wives makes these like awesome cookies. So, just all the little details. So pretty much all the big stuff was done. There's just a couple little minor details of things the week before, just getting all the RSVPs and stuff. But that was, like I said, that was done a couple weeks ago. So now I'm just full focus mode on the fight.
That's awesome. And another thing I applaud you on was you stated you did not ever want to be a substitute fighter for any time the champ was fighting. And sometimes the UFC will bring in the extra fighter in case the challenger can't make weight, or I guess even in the case if the champion can't fight, some sort of a main event's preserved. You wanted nothing to do with that. That's why we haven't seen you since last May. Because I guess by the time you fight, it'll be a year.
Yeah.
And tell me about that. Like, is that the way you wanted it? I mean, a lot of fighters don't want to wait a year before they fight, but did all this work out? You kind of sticking to your guns in that regard?
I just didn't want to like do a whole camp, and it's a lot of mental buildup and stress, like, because you can't just be like, well, I'm gonna make weight and maybe I'll get this fight. Like if I were to show up as like the alternate, I'd be ready like for a championship fight, and a lot goes into a camp. For me, it wasn't worth it. Like I just wanted to be when it was my chance. I knew I was next. So, of course, I didn't want to wait as long as I did, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like, that's the past. I can't change anything. I've been learning, I've been growing this whole time. I haven't been, just sitting around like twiddling my thumbs, like through this time. I've been getting better, and hopefully that shows through in the fight and, get an awesome victory.
Carla, so George and I were actually at the first fight, which was,
Yeah.
we looked at a picture the other day. We look way different, but
Don't
that
we
was a
all?
while. I mean, I'll give you an example. The Palms, I think, is reopening this week, I think, or something like that. They had shut down there, so I mean,
Yeah.
a
That
lot
was
has
like the
happened.
second reopen.
Yeah, so a lot has happened since this, and I got curious. You had a good showing that night. You dominated that fight. Everybody changes so much. Can you even go back and watch that first fight? Is there anything relative that you can apply to this fight from that fight? It was, kind of a while ago.
I mean, yeah, you can go back, you go back and study like a lot of fights, and sometimes people evolve a lot, sometimes people are still doing the kind of the same thing, so I'm definitely going to go back and like study that fight. Actually, today is one of my days to sit down and study some fights. So I'm sure a lot applies, but at the same time, like I can't expect her to come out and do exactly the same thing. It's like, any fighter is going to go back and look at their mistakes, and especially if it's against the same person, and fix and make those corrections. So I'm not expecting her to necessarily like come at me and come with the same game plan as she did last time.
So the situation you were in last time, it was so cool to see you win that belt, see that look on your face. That's something that I'm sure you'll never forget. But winning it a second time, could it be better? Would it feel better? Or can nothing be taken away from that first night in that moment?
It's really hard to say. It's that moment when I won the belt the first time was the best moment of my life up until that point, and it would be really hard to beat that. Winning the belt again would be so phenomenal. Like it would be such a almost 8 years later, like everything that I've gone through in the UFC since then, it would be, it would really mean a lot. It'd be a huge moment in my life. Definitely one of the best. It's hard to say, if it would beat that moment. Especially everything we went through on the Ultimate Fighter and leading up to that, not knowing if we would ever even get in the UFC up until that point. So, yeah, hopefully I can let you know after, though.
I'm going to ask you a question that I don't even know how to ask. So we're all going to learn at the same time. But I'm going to see if what's in my head can translate over to you guys. But you're the challenger here. She's the champion. But you do have a win over her. And it's one that, she's even talked about that kind of really affected her a lot, that loss, and really changed her life a lot. When you guys show up in front of each other, do you think it'll have that feeling of she's the champion, you're the challenger? Or do you feel like because you won that fight, it might actually kind of be reversed a little bit in her head?
It's really hard to say. Like we've come so far, and she's kind of gone through everyone and really improved so much and beaten so many people. Like I think she is the champion, and she deserves to be like the champion where she's at. So I mean, I'm definitely looking at her as like, hey, this is the one to beat. She's number one. She's a champ. So, but it's like you said, I do have the win over her. So it's kind of hard to say like what her, motivation is going to be. Like, I know that she's always had kind of that extra motivation for anyone that she's lost to in the past and really come back. And she's really come back strong and beaten everyone so far. So, it's hard to say. I think it's a feeling that we're not gonna know until like we get there in the moment. Cause I've seen her since then, but not, and I've always, we've always been cordial and said hello and whatever. But yeah, it's kind of hard to say until we get there.
Did it sting that you had to take the long road, whereas other fighters either got quick rematches or just didn't take as long of a road as you?
Like I don't really look at it as, I should have gotten this, I should have gotten that. I think that's a bad attitude to have. If anything, it's going to mean that much more if I win the title, because nobody can say, hey, Carla got the easy way out, or hey, she just got that because, she shows off this way, or, is a big is a big talker, a big entertainer. I know that when I win that belt, everyone's going to know I won it and I got there because I earned it.
I feel like you're getting overlooked in a sense that because Rose is popular and she's done very well since your guys' first fight. In fact, I got caught up in that, Carla. I like to own up to when I mess up. The other day, I pitched a question on a segment that we had where really we were mostly talking about Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk part 2. But both of them are 0-2 against the champ. And so I was asking the panel, hey, is this really a number one contender fight? Because they're 0-2 against the champ. And then right away, one of the first panelists says, well, what if Carla wins? And of course, I remember you beating Carla. I remember Rose standing outside the Palm, and she was devastated. She was with her mom. She was crying. So do you feel like a lot of other people are making the same mistake of just overlooking you?
I mean, I would say probably a lot of people are overlooking me. It's been kind of the theme of my career. I've been the underdog a lot. I've been physically the smaller fighter in most of my fights. And I think that just because I've never been so vocal and, I've tend to be more humble and I don't talk about myself and how I'm going to, dominate this next person. I think that, that gives people the feeling that, oh, oh, she's not hyping herself up. She must be scared, or, she must not be confident. But my confidence comes from inside. Like, I don't need to be vocal about what I'm gonna do. Like I just want to go in there and do it.
Yeah, and you absolutely maul people when you're on. It's been like really interesting to watch all these fights. Luckily, you haven't been a rematch queen, kind of like Rose has, and I don't mean that disparagingly, but she really has fought a lot of fighters, including soon to be you, twice. Tisha, yourself, Andrade, I believe, and Jean Whaley, and even Joanna. But
Yeah.
you've actually gone through so many different skill sets and things like that. I wanted to ask you, maybe you can apply this to your when you wrestled. It is incentivizing to go in there and do these hard workouts when you've already fought someone before. I know your guys' stakes are high, so she's obviously always has that incentive to hold on to the belt, but you always have kind of like a fresh new matchup. I imagine that can be appealing versus training for the same people.
Most definitely. In my whole career, I've never had a rematch. So actually, this is the first one. So I'm really interested to see how it goes. And I felt just as motivated. It almost feels like I'm finding a different person. I feel like I am finding a different person in Rose because, it's been so many years and she's evolved so much. I've evolved so much. So, it does in a way, it almost doesn't feel like a rematch.
Not even in wrestling, you had rematches?
I mean, in wrestling, but in the wrestling tournaments, I mean, you wrestle the same people like every other couple months. It's a
Yeah.
lot different than a fight. Tournament style, you're just kind of going through the same people. You see the same people all the time.
How your body, how conditioned is it to? Because this is something that happens a lot with media and fans. Somebody's been successful, like in college, 2-time national champ, or maybe the Olympics, but it was like 10, 12 years ago. You haven't been shooting doubles and really, really working those wrestling muscles, and you have that explosion that you did when you were way younger. People will say, like, how come Phil Davis hasn't shot in, or how come this person or whatever. How about you? How much of that wrestling appetite do you still have, like, going through your drills, and how explosive do you think you are compared to like when you were probably at your peak?
I think my wrestling is just continually getting better. Fortunately, unfortunately, I didn't start wrestling until my junior year in high school. Then I went on, to wrestle in college. I think I injured out, most of my freshman year. So, I'm not like I've had 20 years of wrestling and then I'm improving a little bit. Like I still feel like I have leaps and bounds to improve on and so many things to learn. And I have a passion for the sport of wrestling. So I feel that I've only gotten better and better. And I still I still am excited to go to wrestling every day and learn new things.
I love the way you wrestle, and then you get into ground and pound mode. Um, there's not too many fighters that we cover that can sometimes make the ground game as exciting as what fans want to see out of two strikers, for example. But you're definitely one of them, and you've been doing it for so long against so many different skill sets. It's really, really been fun, and I know it was the long road and it wasn't deserving, but you haven't complained one bit. But man, tons of respect for the way that you've kind of navigated your career in that regard.
Thank you. Always awesome. It's always great to have a fan of wrestling and grappling. We don't get as much love as the striking, but I think it's fun.
Yeah, well, I think, to be fair, just the fans sometimes, when the wrestler does get them down, but then doesn't do much, it's like, you know what I mean? Now you're kind of maybe scoring points or writing time and just getting the 10-9 at the end of the round. But that's something you definitely don't do, and that's why I think it can be appealing. You know what I mean? So you help in that regard.
Heck yeah, thank you.
All right, looks like Goes has one more on the way out. Go ahead, Goes. What you got?
I have a ridiculous request. Okay. So yesterday
No pole
was
dancing.
yesterday was our 15-year anniversary for our show. Okay. So
Awesome. Congratulations, guys.
15 years. Thank you. I
Thank
think
you.
you're entitled to just say ridiculous things. I'm gonna pull back the curtain on how we booked this interview. Have you ever seen the Taco Bell commercial where they hear the bell and then all of a sudden they just walk off like a zombie and go do their thing? They go get Taco Bell.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I normally, when George and I book an interview, we look at the schedule, we see who's fighting, what's coming up, who's done what. I was at Albertsons and I was by the pastries and I saw this big bag of cookies. And so I grabbed, remember when we had cookies like 2 weeks ago, George? Whatever, a week ago?
Yeah.
I grabbed the cookies, and when I turned around, there was a Cookie Monster cake. And I literally dropped what I was doing and booked the interview, right? Then I got to think,
It's a
okay,
sign.
yeah. Everybody, at one point, hopefully one day, you can just have a silly walkout. But have you ever seen Coming to America?
Yeah.
You know when Prince Hakeem walks and they throw rose petals?
Yeah.
They should crumble cookies and throw crumbles at your feet and just walk over them. That would be the coolest thing ever.
But then I'm just gonna want to like pick them up and eat them.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh no, they'll have a fresh batch of cookies for you for sure.
Yeah. But if you have somebody in front of you just crumbling cookies, even if you do it at a press conference or something, that would be dope.
Hey, maybe you can be my, like, you know how they have flower girls? You can
I'll
be
do
my
it.
like, cookie guy.
I'll wear the cookie outfit, everything. I'll crumble them, drop them.
That would be awesome. Like the Cookie Monster outfit. And
I'm down. I'm the right size. I'm perfect for it. So just keep that in mind, all right? Consider that one day.
All right.
You should have made him dress up like a Chippendale with the bow tie, no shirt.
That wouldn't look too good, no.
All right. Hey, look, we took up enough of your time. You're a busy gal with a lot going on, a title fight, and then a marriage. And then I imagine the honeymoon's the week after or days after, or is that down the road? Oh, yeah.
No,
okay.
it's like 3 days after, 2 days after.
Where are you headed?
Bora Bora.
Oh, look at you, man. Wow. Please tell me that this fiance at least planned that one, because man, a lot's been on your plate.
Nah,
you planned it too?
We talked about it together, but I kind of set it up and did the research. But that was I planned it early, so it's been done for a while. This guy
just kicks his legs up and asks where the remote is. All right, we got to shake this guy up.
I can't blame him. He's a doctor. He's like a director of this and this and that. Oh. He's super busy. He takes care of things and he builds everything around the house. I got stuck in my garage a couple days ago. My thing stopped working. He installed like the whole new thing. Like while I was on my bachelorette, like he's making the arch for our wedding. Like. He puts the work in.
Okay, all right. So he holds his own then. All right.
Yeah.
How'd you get stuck in your garage? What does that mean? Like you were locked, you couldn't go into the house, but you also the door wouldn't open?
Yeah, no, like I was inside, like in my car, I was like open. It was like stopped and I pressed it again, went down, pressed it again, opened even less. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to go to the gym. Like I need to go. Like I'm gonna be late. And fortunately, my mom was by and I was like, Mom, can I borrow your car, please? She was like, yeah, take my car. And I just went and so we had to like manually open it. And he like, it was the people that owned the house before were like totally messed it up, didn't put sensors. So we had to like redo the whole thing. Like it was a lot. So he's the handyman around the house. And yeah, no, he does a lot, but I'm like the planner, like, he does too, but yeah, like, yeah.
All right. Well, safe. I was gonna say the rest of your camp. Obviously, I hope you have a safe rest of your camp. Weight cut. Have a great fight. You earned it for sure. You're one of the most awesome fighters that we've had since the UFC finally brought women's MMA. I mean, a true professional representative, like with class and everything. You've done things great. You know, for over a decade or about a decade now. So we always wish you the best of luck, and then obviously early congrats on your marriage. Have fun in Bora Bora. You deserve it all, Carla.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it, and it's always great to talk to you. And again, congratulations on 15 years. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.